Let me boost myself up. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Oh my gosh, I have a new laptop and I'm still learning how to work it. I didn't know how to get my sound on. But welcome to Shift Your Thinking Tuesday, where we transform our inner experience to a phenomenal outer experience for 13 minutes of our day, of our time. We do it together. We connect, build, and share. How are you, lovies? Forgive me. I am way past my start time. I really was trying to get it together. Let's run some sound check. Shout out to my fam on Instagram. For those of you who are signing on, tuning in. Let's see what's happening on Facebook. Let's just make sure that my sounds are good, because I can't get my soundtrack to play. So strange. It's strange. I don't know what's going on with the speakers. So let's see. Is this working? No, this is not working either. What if I do this? Is this working now? Mic check, mic check. Hey, 24K Levi, how are you? Can you hear me? I'm checking on Facebook. Let me see what's happening. It's so strange. This is like so weird. I don't have any sound happening. No. So, looks like we're going to do almost an audio recording today. You sound good over there? Cool. Instagram is good. I don't know what's going on with the Facebook. This is the strangest thing. I have no idea what's going on with my sound. This is really going to bother me. Levi, this is going to really bother me. This is going to bother me. So I have to fix this. All right, would you bear with me? I have to fix this because I did an audio recording last week, and that's cool, to innovate, but that just kind of takes away from the fun. When I have the videos, I can take the video and repurpose it on YouTube and all the other platforms. But before I jump into this, I got to work this out. I got to work this sound out. Yeah, this is nuts right now. I got a new laptop. That's what happened. I got a new laptop. And none of the sounds are working. Very, very interesting. Hey, Bongo. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to have to disappear on y'all. Let me see. This year, wow. When is this? I'm going to be at the I'm one of the speakers at the We Buy Black convention in Atlanta, so I'll be there in 2 weeks. Is it around that time? I know I've lost track of so many things as I'm speaking at various things and doing different presentations. I will be at Claremont. That's for their Black Intersections Conference, I think around February, March. 7th. I'm definitely not going to be there. The We Buy Black convention is the 16th and the 17th in Atlanta. So no, I won't be there. It's so funny because I was just watching a video on Dr. Umar last night. I was just trying to, keep up. He was doing a review on that movie. What's the movie? You give the hate that you give, the hate that you give. So I just wanted to hear his take on that. Hey, Cindy, great Halloween party, by the way. Thanks, you guys. Look, I really appreciate the love right now, but I am really perturbed that my sound is not feeding, and I'm just going to have to fix this. So funny. I hear no sound. No sound. Cindy, are you on Facebook? Can you check if you can hear me on Facebook real quick? Just real quick, please, because trying to figure something, if it's me or it's a setting. I have a new laptop. Yeah, you're like, sounds good on Instagram. Can you please check on Facebook? Check on my page real quick. Thank you. Like, what is going on? I got a fancy new laptop. I'm upgraded, trying to upgrade my life. Not trying, my life is upgraded. Sounds with an echo. Oh, how about now? Okay, yay! Everyone says they can hear me. Okay, good. I'm just gonna delete the first 3 minutes of the video. Okay, cool, wonderful, thank you. She says sounds with an echo. The mic is in, great. Wonderful, thanks LaTanya, thanks Cindy. All right, let's rock and roll. Episode 68. I'm calling this Talking Body Language. This is gonna be so much fun because you'll notice I do speak a lot with my body. And so if you're continuing along on Shift Your Thinking, 200 Ways to Improve Our Lives with Dean Del Sesto, it says, I'm in the section where it says, 7% of our conversational impact is what we say. Listen, 7% of our conversational impact is what we say, the words that are coming out of our mouths. 38% is our tone. Ooh, tone is like so important, y'all. Ooh, that's why emails are just like emails and text messages. This is why emojis have become a lot more important. She says, sounds muffly. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't know what's going on with my sound. Okay. What if I do this? I'm just going to take that out. I got to figure it out. We're going to rock and roll. I'll rock and roll and finish the section. And we can all go on with our lives and our Tuesdays. Thank you, though. Thanks, Cindy, for checking on both Instagram and Facebook. And that just goes to show, if you are not connected with me on Instagram, I do this every Tuesday, 8:10 on Instagram. I do that live, so you can check out the Instagram stories. At LA Super Agent, by the way, on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube. If you need to get caught up with any of the past episodes, and view Ready, Set, Real Estate is streaming there as well. So he says 55% is our body language. So imagine that. We are speaking mostly with our body language, which is why we have to be mindful of flying hands and moving heads, talking heads, right? What's that little thing where the head goes like that, the bobble heads? We have to be mindful about how we're speaking. And when we're pointing at people, when we're speaking, pointing, and what else are we doing with our body? Ooh, closed hands, when we're locking arms. There's a great book about that. It's called The Definitive Types of Body Language. I have it. It's a huge book too, all about body language. And me being a psych major, I'm really into all of that. I'm really into like body language. Shout out to my financial specialist in LA. Hey, Landscape Larry, he's joined Real Estate Apparel. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for the love. Thanks for joining Shift Your Thinking Tuesday. We were sound checking, so the first few minutes you can just ignore and fast forward if you're viewing it on the replay. Ooh, I'm getting a lot of love on Instagram. So here we go. He says, how would you like to read minds? How many of us would love to read minds? I do this all the time by reading people's body language all the time. And it is really interesting that he is saying that 55% of what people are saying is with their body. This is why this segment is Talking Body Language. I'm calling this segment Talking Body Language. He says, by learning body language, you can get pretty close to reading minds. In a world of too many words, we rarely consider the words that are spoken as the end all. In some cases, he says, due to an individual's track record, words may have no resonance other than a noise. Ooh, that's for those people who are talking empty words. You just yapping away. Shout out to Johnny Sharp. Thanks for tuning in, Johnny. I Isn't that funny when, people who basically their words mean nothing? And he said that's because of their track record. God, ooh. When people say word is bond, right? Word is bond. He says lacking the credibility to even be registered as communication. Gosh, that's a horrible position to be if you're a person that anything that now comes out of your mouth is now lacking credibility because you just empty words and it's noise. He says unconsciously our natural inclination is to look past the words to determine the sincerity of the content. Let me say this. It's so funny because it's almost synchronistic. Every show time, it's so synchronistic that there's an event that happens and then I'm talking about it on the show. For instance, just a reminder, I'm in real estate, right? We're in real estate sales. Licensed California real estate professional, known by super agent. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I'm Lisa Puerto, super agent. I have to do my spiel. And one of the things that I have found this week is the clients that have reached out to me, the issues that they were having in their transactions. So mind you, they were reaching out to me for advice on situations they were already in. They were already in a transaction. They were already working with an agent, already working with another lender, not of my team, which is perfectly fine. But somehow they managed to come to me and then they want advice. One of the things that I found consistent with the issue in their transactions were, get this, they had never met the person, the agent or lender. They had never met the agent or lender in person. Should I come back to that later or should I finish that thought now? They had never met the person in person. So you have someone assisting you in a transaction, but you've never met them in person. And we're talking about how much of what we say is, he says, conversational impact is 7%, what we say, 38% our tone, and 55% our body language. One of the things that I shared with these people, that was one of the questions that I asked when I noticed there were some hiccups in miscommunication and misunderstanding. I asked, have you met this person in person? Did you schedule a meeting in person? And they consistently all said, no, it's only been by phone, email, and text. We risk being able to determine someone's sincerity and whether they are genuinely for us. And especially in our industry, we use these terms called fiduciary agents. Fiduciary agent, meaning as a professional, everything as a professional, your interests over mine. I am here to represent you and protect you, and it's got to be in its sincere integrity. I can go on and on. Let's continue. Latanya says, everything is done by email now. Nobody wants to do hands-on business. I agree. Things are getting lost in translation. Exactly. Let's not do that. Let's take the time, especially when we are talking about money, people. How are you not meeting people that you are giving money to or exchanging or doing a transaction with? How are we not scheduled? How is it not that important? No judgment. I'm just asking. No judgment. I'm just asking. I'm asking the questions here. Johnny says, I agree. They have confidence to ask for my advice. So why are you working with someone else? LOL. Agreed. Some people, Johnny, you already know how it is, our business. Very rare few. And see, I love my clients. Actually, a lot of my clients become an extension of me, family, friends that I've worked with for years and worked with their family and friends in their community, because the way I do business, I feel it's like if you have a family doctor, right? Everyone uses that doctor. You have an accountant. Most people goes to the same accountant and tax preparer that a family, a friend has worked with. A optometrist. You have a family optometrist. Guess what? Family real estate professional, family lender professional, or mortgage banker or consultant. Same rules apply. If you had a positive experience, I would think you sharing is caring. And so, I'm just throwing that in there. I'm just throwing that in there. So as we continue, isn't this interesting? I'm sure this is resonating with a lot of people. And if it doesn't, let's rethink how we're doing business, because even though I am connected from here to all over the country, I have no limitations. I actually don't move forward in a business transaction with people until I've actually met them physically. Seriously. I was doing collaboration, and this is something I want to shout out to Claude Phillips, actually. Claude Phillips, he's going to be like, you shout me out on your show. But yes, it was a great reminder that as we were collaborating to do business together, he said, Lisa, I've got to meet you in person. And I said, I agree. He said, there's no one that I don't do business with people I don't meet in person, because anyone can say anything over the phone. Anyone can say anything over the phone. Anyone can type a nice, strong email, depending on how well you write. How well are you writing? So let's continue. He says, perhaps we get more value if we were conscious about it. This is exactly what I'm saying. Not that everyone needs to be a cynical or skeptical, but the older we get, he says, the less words mean. So it sounds like the older we get, the wiser we become, because we're not so naive. There isn't this naivete about how people are presenting a chat. Share the broadcast. It's free. Exactly. Thank you for those of you. Tag someone, make sure you share. Let someone know we come on every Tuesday at 8:10 Pacific time, encouraging, empowering one another. So, exactly. He says, by the time we hit middle age, we've experienced enough lies and broken promises to have us look at words as nothing more than a gamble. Very, very interesting. You remember those days when you're in your 20s? And if you're in your 20s and you're listening to this, yes, people may come off with more flowery words and expressions, all these feel-good statements. And as you get older and in your 30s and your mid-30s, like me, I reflect back in my 20s, and I remember a lot of the statements and the things that I heard I was gullible to. I was excited about. And then that's when disappointment weighed in heavily, is because when people did not keep their word. Because for me, I tend to have the personality where I give people the benefit of the doubt. I will give you the opportunity to show and prove. And if you don't, and when you don't, then too bad. And I move on. Shout out to Thought Creations. I move on. And so as we get older, he says, and then you're in your 40s. But I think that's interesting, right? Because there are people, he's going to say based on age, but I also do think even as a younger person, I was pretty wise. I think like my daughter is pretty wise in certain areas of her life, and she's 18 now. And so let's continue, because I'm having thoughts. He says, it seems the only responsible way we take notice of what others say is found in their passion, conviction, and care for us when they're speaking. Listen to that. Go figure. Thanks, Cindy, for sharing. It's not the words, but a person's way of being that makes the communication worth the time. I would think that whole thing is called discernment. I would think that is called discernment, right? when we can interpret someone's passion, conviction, and way of being. So I want to say this. Thank you all who've been consistently connected with me, because what that is saying, I have demonstrated passion, conviction, and a way of being. And here's what's funny. My son asked me this morning, he wanted me to go to his school. And I said, I've got the show to do this morning. And he said, do you really have to do that? I said, yes. Why? Because it's now a way of being for me. I now block out Tuesday morning that this is what I'm doing. Shift your thinking. Sometimes I have board meetings and different things to attend to. I will attend those late to commit to this. I'm apologetic when I am late, but I don't kick myself down, because we don't do self-abuse on this show. No self-abusers, right? We don't do self-abusive talk. We don't beat ourselves down. Why? Because Shift Your Thinking is about shifting the mind to improve ourselves and make that change. It's really self-love. I'm just loving on myself. And the way I can give love is because I have it. You can't give anything you don't have, right? If I went on a tangent, someone had to hear that. All right, I'll continue. He says, in order for us to be effective communicators, our physical posture and how we say what we say will clearly reveal our intentionality and our commitment. Yes, notice that I am very mindful even as I sit. I have all this room. I have about a foot of space between me and the back of my chair. Why? Because I'm being mindful to hold my posture so that I can speak clearly and that the sound can vibrate clearly. So that resonates, right? And notice I'm also mindful of my hands, because we're talking about 55% of what we say is with our body language. 38%, he says, is tone. And notice the inflections and intonations in my voice. I speak fast when I'm excited, and then I slow down when I want to make a point. Tonality, inflections, yes. I love all the loves. All the hearts are so cute on Instagram. That just makes me smile. And I like this. Is this resonating? Just drop a thumbs up if you're vibing with what we're talking about. We're talking body language. Is this something you feel like you can apply in your life for this week? Yes. Latanya says, learn from our mistakes and try not to make the same one again in whatever you do. Absolutely. We learn and we grow, because there are no mistakes, really. It's a growth. It's a learning process. I actually, I don't have regrets in my life. Thank you, Landscape Larry. He says, thumbs up, thumbs up. This is resonating. If you're on or if you're tuning in on the replay, be sure to drop a thumbs up. And for those of you who are tuning in on the radio podcast, you can drop comments and feedback and just let me know how you're enjoying the show, or not, if you're not enjoying the show. And so we learn. It's growth, lessons in life, not mistakes, because guess what? Here's what I love about the life, especially when for those of you who know me intimately know, like I have been, in the past couple of years, I've been carrying a very weighty observation of a challenge. Notice that I am very intentional in the way I acknowledge experiences in my life, because ask yourself, are the experiences happening to you, or are you observing the experiences? That's whole nother show. But as I say that, I have been mindful about how I'm experiencing and expressing myself. And communication is very key. It's like when I share with someone kind of what was going on, they're like, hey, Queen, you have been standing tall. I would have never known. You've been standing tall and I would have never known. I have people say, geez, what are you made out of? What are you built out of? Thought Creation says, I'm washing dishes, so don't take my silence for dislike. I hear you. Thank you. Bongo, thank you, Martin C. Porter II, for sharing and tuning in. I really appreciate that. So he says, it's always wise to test run, quote unquote, test run our conversations in advance. Put ourselves on the other side of them to experience what our communication will be like, how it will be received, and whether our physical, mental, and emotional posture is on track. Here's the advantage that I have. I have the advantage, and this is why it was a big deal for me this morning. And thank you for those of you who waited until I got it together and we sound checked. It was a big deal that the sound and the video was working. Why? Because I go back and watch the replays. I listen to my tonality. I listen to my excitable energy. I'm watching it. How is it coming off? Is it being displayed how I want it to be displayed? I'm mindful of these things. What am I communicating to the world? Better yet, how am I showing up in the world? Ask yourself, how are you showing up in the world? Especially when we are saying, based on what he's saying, the author is saying, 7% is what we say for impact, 38%, did I get that right? 38% is tonality, 55% is body language. This is actually why I wanted to do, for those who are in our Young Professional Network, I wanted to invite a speaker, a trainer, or coach that would speak about communicating with our body language, because as a professional, we're interacting with people on a daily basis. What we're saying with our body is making a difference in whether that person decides to work with us. Symbiotic vibration. Is that person vibrating, right? Because it's, there's nothing static in the world. Everything is vibrating at a frequency. There is no real solid state. Everything is vibrating at a frequency. And is your frequency vibrating to an extent that is magnetizing people to you in a way that you want that to work for both of you? Because you can magnetize, trust me, I magnetize all kinds of stuff, but because I use discernment, I get to filter whether those are the people, things, places I want in my world, in my realm. Yes, we'll continue. I like it. Latanya says your tone determines how the person on the other end accepts you. It could be because of positive she says it can cause a positive or negative impact. Absolutely. Positive vibes. 24K Levi says positive vibes. This is why I do the show, y'all. Like, this is exactly why. Because guess what? There is electromagnetic waves and frequencies that's happening through the vibration of the phone. I mean, think about this, right? There's wireless connections. We are the original wireless connectivity or connectors. You ever have that moment when you think about somebody, they come into your mind and that person calls you, that person shows up, or someone tells you something about them? Think about that. That's not happenstance. That's not an accident. You are the wireless connector. All this technology, I've said it before on the show before, all this technology is mimicking your behavior, is mimicking your divinity. I like it. Adrian Washington tuning in and says, basically put yourself in the other person's shoes when you're delivering your message. Your vocal expression and your body expression is key to getting the message across. Well said, Adrian. Well said. Thank you for that. Woo! We know this. We know tonality. We know body language. We know this. So let me ask, why then are we forgetting this when we do business with people? Why are we forgetting this when we are conceiving of relationships with people and we're leaning on text messages? I'm not knocking long distance or however people are figuring out ways to communicate, but at some point meeting in person so that you can discern genuinely, is this person for me or not? You can say Lisa said it. Lisa said I should meet you in person. Lisa said if I'm going to do a deal with you, I should meet you in person. I just saw something. I'm not knocking people's hustle. I'm telling you, I just saw something advertised on Instagram where they said purchase real estate on without seeing property on site. What? Yikes. That, come on. I mean, that, even if you're an experienced person, I'm referring to the people you do business with. Latanya screaming out, she says, time to do better, with all the exclamation points. Exactly. I love it. That's exactly what we're talking about. You know better, now do better. Let's stop relying on flowery words, because people have said, also in the phone voice, phone voice operators, I think they make a lot of money. People who know how to write wonderful emails. However, what happens offline and in person? Are they consistent? It's a very high compliment when people say when they meet me in person that I'm exactly how I am online. I said, you are exactly how you are online. I would hope so. Because I don't know how to be anything else. Facts. All right. So he says, I like this. I like put yourself on the others in someone else's shoes. We talked about, like I said, my advantage is I get to view the replay. I get to watch myself. I get to improve myself. And we're in the 68th episode. This is a year and a half later, and I've watched myself do tremendous growth in the way I speak, in the way I intentionally speed up and slow down my voice, my words. I'm mindful when to smile, when to cue the smile, my eyes, that I'm looking directly at you when I'm speaking. And kudos to you who follow along, because most people said they don't like to be read to, but I'm reading out loud and then I'm building with you, right? So kudos to you, because some people are like, I don't like to be read to. Well, then this may not be for you. Okay, he says the right commitment creates the right heart, stance, tone, and facial expression, otherwise known as the total package of communication. I love that. He says the right commitment creates the right heart, stance, tone, and facial expression. Absolutely. Is this person committed to me? Am I committed to them? And all that comes off. All of that you are expressing. This is so good. Today is so good because we're dealing with this outside of business. I know I have a lot of my business folks online who connected with me, a lot of family and friends and colleagues that connect and watch me. You can apply today to any aspect of your life and be mindful when people are closed off. Be mindful of cultural ways. That's another thing that he's not talking about, but culturally, right? I've noticed there's certain cultures that speak very openly with their hands. And depending on who you are and where you're from, you may interpret that as someone trying to convince you, because what is said about body language, and when you speak with your hands too much, you are trying to convince the other person. When you're trying to overly talk, you're trying to convince them. This is why the saying less is more when it comes to words. Less is more. Why? Because your entire body can speak for you. And actually, it is speaking for you more than half the time, which, based on what we're talking about today, 55% is your body language. Men, I will say this, I'm very mindful of how you stand when you speak. Are you curved over? Even if you're a tall man, let me say this to my tall men. If you're a tall man and you find yourself curling over to speak. I'm 5'2", and I really appreciate it's okay to look down at me, look down towards me. You don't have to curve your body towards me, because when you do that so much in life, it then speaks to confidence, because this is exactly your spine. We're talking about what is about your self-confidence. Exactly, right? Adrian is saying it's best to meet people in person, then you can set the energy on how to calculate the person's attitude and demeanor. That way you will see if the person is genuine. Exactly. Genuine. My financial specialist says, I'm back. Thank you. My financial specialist in LA also has a podcast. I like this, right? I'm very mindful about that. I am. Curved back, body language. What else are some things? Like I said, closed arms is a big one. That means that person is closed off. For those of you who may be following like the presidency and whatever he talks about, he's being trained on his body language. Notice that. A lot of those who are public speaking, but the video when he spoke with Kanye, notice the body language that at one point he sat back and locked his arms when he was talking to, when Kanye was speaking with him. And then he remembered, possibly he remembered, or he was cued to then sit up straight and sit like this. He locked his hands like this. Why? Because that is communicating so much. So he sat back, he was no longer receptive, but he also knows he was in control. So when you find people sit back and they lean back and they're locking arms, they are in control and they are not as receptive to what you are saying. And so when Kanye was sharing with him for that snippet, he communicated, he sat back, he locked his arm, but he was not as receptive. He was entertained possibly, or not. And then he remembered to sat back up. Why? Because he's being broadcasted nationally and internationally all over the world. Yes, my financial specialist in LA says it's a conscious effort to begin to change those bad habits. Agreed. It requires trainful and mindfulness. We have gone over the time today, but I think we're doing a great build. I started late, but on time, right? Because you know how I feel about time. Everything is on time and when it's supposed to be. All right, so as we get to wrap this up, he says, this is the only true way you'll be able to breathe life into your words, so your words will bring life to others. Ooh, that is so sweet. Listen to that. This is the only way, only true way you'll be able to breathe life into your words, so your words will bring life to others. Who are we going to breathe life into today? Be mindful, 7% of what we say is for impact, 38% is tonality, 55% is body language. This concludes episode 68 on Shift Your Thinking. We were talking body language today, and I will see you next week on Shift Your Thinking for episode 69. Love you, love you, love you. And be sure to connect, build, and share on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. All right, you guys, have a fantastic and productive week. Love y'all.